The American landscape. It's part of our heritage, and we all want to preserve it for the future, to see our beautiful places protected, our natural resources used wisely, and polluters taken to task for the damage they've done. But it's not enough to wait and hope for our leaders to make the right choices. Environmental protection today means stopping global warming, protecting open space and wilderness, forcing polluters to clean up their act, and tapping America's renewable energy potential. These goals won't be achieved without a fight. Wherever powerful interests are holding back real progress for our environment, in city halls, state houses, and on Capitol Hill, someone needs to be there to counter their influence and win results. That someone is Environment America, a federation of state-based environment groups and the new home of U.S. PIRG's environmental work. Global warming is the greatest environmental crisis of the new century. Lawmakers in Washington, D.C. have been disappointingly slow to respond. That's why Environment America's advocates are taking action in the states. In 2007, Environment New Jersey won precedent-setting legislation to reduce pollution that causes global warming. Over the course of a 2-year campaign, Environment New Jersey staff, volunteer activists, and coalition partners like the Sierra Club and the Audubon Society built a landslide of support using research, media, advocacy, and community organizing. Thousands of New Jerseyans wrote, called, and emailed their leaders to express support for the Global Warming Response Act. In July of 2007, Governor Corzine, joined by Al Gore and Environment New Jersey's Dina Mottola and Suzanne Lita-Lou, signed New Jersey's global warming law, the toughest in the nation. Since New Jersey's bill passed, officials in Florida, Rhode Island, and other states have joined Environment America's campaign to drastically reduce global warming pollution. With war raging in the Middle East, oil and gas prices surging, and global warming threatening our way of life, America needs to move away from fossil fuels towards a new energy future. Enough wind blows across the Great Plains to power the whole country. Enough sun shines in states like California and Colorado to power millions of homes. The question isn't how we create a new energy future, but when. Environment California is a leading advocate for tapping the potential of the sun's energy. Environment California's Bernadette Del Chiaro has worked closely with Governor Schwarzenegger to ensure that California is on the cutting edge of solar power policy. Since 2002, California has adopted ambitious standards for solar roofs and solar hot water heaters and has plans to tackle large-scale solar next. Winning campaigns in a state the size of California is no easy feat. But Bernadette has successfully put all the pieces together. She lined up effective bill sponsors, met with editorial boards throughout the state, earned endorsements from all of California's major newspapers, researched a set of reports on the economic benefits of solar power, and led a campaign that mobilized 100,000 Environment California members and others to write, email, or call their elected officials. Now, from New Hampshire to New Mexico, states are taking action to ramp up support for clean, renewable power. So far, 25 states have passed laws that require utilities to generate some of their electricity from solar, wind, and other clean, renewable sources. In recent years, once protected wilderness areas and open space have fallen victim to mismanagement and willful neglect. Millions of acres are now threatened by development, logging, mining, and drilling. From Florida's Everglades to Oregon's Mount Hood, from vulnerable coastal wetlands to small family farms in Middle America, our open spaces, parks, and wilderness areas are at risk, and the federal government is leaving it to the states to defend them. But many state and local governments are struggling to protect beloved parks and open space. Funding for the upkeep of existing parks and acquisition of new ones is drying up or being diverted. And powerful developers still wield tremendous influence in state houses and city halls. In Texas, overdevelopment has threatened water resources, destroyed wildlife habitat, and made it more and more difficult for Texans to enjoy nature. When sprawling development threatened to pave over an Austin natural treasure, Barton Springs, staff and supporters of Environment Texas stood up and took action, helping to pass a ballot initiative to purchase some of the most vulnerable Barton Springs land to protect it from development. After Texans showed overwhelming support for saving Barton Springs, Environment Texas advocate Luke Metzger kept up the momentum in a campaign to win new funds for Texas's ailing parks and open space. With a coalition of dozens of environmental organizations, Luke and his staff talked to tens of thousands of Texans about the issue, collected thousands of postcards on street corners and online, generated phone calls, letters, and emails to lawmakers' offices, and produced a film on the parks crisis narrated by Texas native Ethan Hawke. They met with legislators and reporters, testified before committees, and produced research on the importance of Texas's natural areas. And in June of 2007, the hard work paid off. The Texas legislature voted to triple funding for parks, setting aside $180 million. Environment America also works to defend the lakes, streams, and rivers of our communities against the threat of toxic pollution. Recently, Environment Ohio, Environment Michigan, Environment Illinois, and Wisconsin Environment worked together to stop oil giant BP's plan to increase toxic dumping into Lake Michigan. When BP announced that state officials had given the company permission to dump more ammonia and toxic wastewater into the lake, residents of surrounding communities were outraged. Working with senior Environment America staffer John Rumpler, staff advocates helped to organize that outrage into what the Associated Press called a firestorm of protest. Rallies, press conferences, editorials, and newspaper ads all demanded a higher standard of protection for the Great Lakes. More than 80,000 people signed Environment America's petition against BP's plan. Soon after, BP, stunned and defeated, pledged not to increase dumping into Lake Michigan. Environment America has proven time and time again we can protect our American landscape for the future. In states across the nation, advocates are winning debates and helping enact new laws all the time. Recently, at the urging of Environment America, so far 13 states, including Oregon, Connecticut, and Maine, have passed clean car laws which reduce pollution from our automobiles and increase fuel efficiency. Environment Maryland helped convince the governor to pass the Stormwater Management Act, which will reduce runoff pollution to the Chesapeake Bay. Environment Illinois helped to eliminate mercury from a group of household products, another victory in an ongoing campaign to stop toxic mercury contamination. Penn Environment helped pass the Growing Greener 2 initiative, which provided $625 million to protect farms and open space. 11 states have passed laws to create standards for energy efficiency and incentives for smarter energy use based on Environment America's research, advocacy, and organizing. Polluters continue to endanger our air, water, and open space. Powerful interests continue to dominate the story of the American landscape. But Environment America is starting to tell a different story, one that builds on recent victories as well as 35 years of accomplishments. One that builds on a growing network of activists and advocates across the country. One that opens up new paths toward a time when future generations can still enjoy the treasure of our American landscape.